Hi everyone, welcome to Happy Chap. And this week, he is a happy chap, and he's a friend of mine, and he's a very talented musician, singer, writer. You'll find out all about his talent as I introduce to you the one and only Mr. Richard Sykes. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello. Hello.
There he is.
How are you?
It's 7:30 on a Sunday night, and it's beautiful in his garden.
It is beautiful. It is the sky is blue, and it's awesome out here.
Well, you're in the Costa Huddersfield, aren't you?
I'm in the Costa Huddersfield, a beautiful part of the world, of course.
Of course.
The thing is, everyone assumes that Huddersfield is always cold and dreary because it's the back end of Yorkshire. But my word, it's done us proud over the last couple of days. It's been gorgeous.
And enjoy it before the snow comes back.
I shall indeed.
Hey, Rich, so we met on the cruise ships, and you were cruise director. Actually, I think the first time I met you was on the Marco Polo. I'd done it years before, when it was a Norwegian Cruise Lines thing. But it had gone to CMV, who are no longer a trade, I believe, and that's where we met. And I suddenly thought, who is this guy? He does everything. Not only do you arrange the programs, but you entertain yourself, and you write the quizzes, and you do the quizzes, and you sit in the tech box and make sure the sound's right. So where did that all come from? Did you, or you were like, my wife would say, a blagger? When you got the opportunity, did you just learn on your feet, or did you train to become a cruise director? How did you fall into it?
Well, there is no degree in cruise directing. In fact, there's no preparation for most of the stuff I've done in my life. So your wife is exactly right. Michelle is totally correct that I am an absolute blagger. I fell into it because I was in a pantomime at Leeds City Varieties. You know Leeds City Varieties.
I know, I've done it many times, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful theatre, horrible backstage, but a really nice theatre with a very precipitous rake. And I was doing a pantomime there, a professional panto, and it was my first ever professional gig, and I was wondering what I was going to do next. And just down the road is the West Yorkshire Playhouse in Leeds, and I was encouraged to go along to it just to see what was going on. And there was an audition for a cruise company, and I just happened to flop in. Now, the thing about my auditions is I've always auditioned to be, the sexy singer, and that has. Sorry,
I didn't mean to laugh.
Exactly.
I feel terrible.
I have never, ever won an audition for a sexy singer, but I've always gone for them. But no. What they always do is offer me something else, which I'm very, very grateful for. And one company was called Peel, and they offered me a job as an animator. I had no idea what an animator was, but they said, you will be great at it, because what you tend to be is quite animated and boisterous, and it was a job I flopped into more than anything. And so, again, I blagged my way into that, and I blagged my way up to being a cruise director. It took me, it only took me a couple of years because I was willing to work contract after contract after contract. So I basically shuffled my way up the ranks, and I was a cruise director for 20 years. And I'm happy to say, Andy, that I retired on January the 22nd in 2020, just in time.
Well, a couple of questions, really. First of all, to explain to people, they wonder why people said animator to Richard. Is on American cruise ship, they tend to call entertainers the animation team, don't they?
They do.
For some reason.
Because we keep people moving. That's the idea.
Right. Because first of all, I thought, blimey, all these people in the team must be really good at drawing. I had no idea. So,
no, not quite.
So the next question was going to be, and I think you've answered it before I got there, was if this all turns around, you're going to go out there and do cruise directing again? Or now that you've found your own time and space to create your musicals and write and do all the stuff you're really passionate about, are you staying put to put your own shows on? What's the future for Richard Sykes then?
I don't care. I will blag and blag and blag until I get satisfaction from life ending. No, I honestly, I gave up the cruise directing side because it was taking an awful lot of time. And as you said, it does stop you being creative to that extent, because you can't be at home with other creative people and getting your stuff out there. So it was a conscious decision to step back and do something different. It just so happened that the timing was perfect because I've had to stay at home for a year. So fine, no problem. I'd planned to do that anyway. So it all worked out really well.
The universe made that decision for you.
It kind of did. Yeah, absolutely. But it does help to blag your way through everything. So it's been an interesting year. I made a musical called By George.
Yes,
and of
tell
course
us about that.
It hasn't been on anywhere yet because nothing's been on anywhere yet, but we've got some very encouraging noises from a local producer who'd like to put it on, and so I'm hopeful that after that happens, great.
So can you tell us what the storyline of By George is? And obviously it's influenced, because I believe it's about a Yorkshire fish and chip shop, so it's influenced by your history as a proud Yorkshireman. Give us the storyline of this musical.
The By George, as you said, is set in the back room of a Yorkshire chip shop, and that is such a ridiculous proposition for a musical. But nevertheless, it involves lots of skullduggery. It involves a hostile takeover. It involves a strip show. It involves, believe me, if I explained this to you, you probably wouldn't think of buying a ticket. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to say it's set in the back room of a chip shop. It's as funny as hell, and I love it.
Is there something I can play from that?
With absolute pleasure. Get as much of it out as you want.
Give us a little introduction.
Well, let me just tell you that the opening number is called Yorkshire Born and Bred. And it's a Yorkshire piece, and so it's a very proud marching Yorkshire song. There's an element of parody to this, and so it's not played straight, but nevertheless, it's a song about being a proud Yorkshire.
Yorkshire Born and Bred. Let's have
Yorkshire Born and Bred. Cheers.
Now welcome to Yorkshire, wherever you've come from. There's more to this county than to Ernie by gum. The man who fought off slavery's our William Wilberforce. But sad to say, success eluded Yorkshire's own Guy Fawkes. From Redcar to Sheffield, from Huddersfield to Brid, we're proud of our people and most of what they did. So grow white roses and you won't see red. If we're stubborn, then Oz, it is certainly 'cause we are Yorkshire born and bred. Our accents are different wherever you may roam. They always go broader whenever we go home. And if you're just a mardy arse, I'll tell you this for nout. We'll call you a daft apeth and we'll give your lugs a clout. If you're fair to middling, we'll make you feel greatly. Your lunch is your dinner and dinner is your tea. It's not what we're saying, it's the way it's said. So come here laughing, we're none of you faffing. We're Yorkshire born and bred. We're born and bred. We're born and bred. The curry of Bradford's a source of county pride. There's parking and pikelets and Wensleydale on side. But York's to blame for Kit Kats, polo mints and jelly tots. Type 2 diabetes and a billion acne spots. There's real ale and bitter, or maybe have a brew. We made Marks and Spencers, but that's a do. A large Yorkshire pudding keeps us all well fed. Our lads and our lasses are real Bobby Dazzlers. We're Yorkshire born and bred. But the view from me window is saddening, 'cause the youth of me Yorkshire is maddening. It were all right before, but it's not what it was. And there's changes are sweeping our land. And we may not be politically correct yet, but from job seekers up to the jet set, you'll be far less alone. Just don't say Bath or Scone, and I dare say we'll make you feel grand. If you're up the dales or on Ilkley Moor, but at the Pennines give shelter from wind and rain and that. We savour God's own country and we say, well, I'll be blessed. You never need your coat, but you'll be glad you wore your vest. We've got Arctic monkeys and pups a different class. Our war cry is how much? 'Cause where there's muck, there's brass. We use hill and Ockney, we can heal your head. From Creakley to April, from Drabble to Bronte, from Bennett to Warden, we've got the full Monty. Pull up your stump and chip by a give thump, 'cause we're Yorkshire, born and bred. By George, we're Yorkshire, born and bred.
Fantastic. Now, you are, I mean, I know you do it ironically and comedically, but you're very proud of where you're from, aren't you?
I am. It's formed me. Now, I've it's difficult to say because I've spent more time in my life away from Yorkshire than I have spent in Yorkshire. Yeah, I mean, having said that, I think, as we all know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And it really did in this case. I chose to settle back about a quarter of a mile from my first home. I was born quarter of a mile over there.
Brilliant.
And my brother lives quarter of a mile over there. We are a very, very loyal, I think, and I do like where I'm from.
You're saying that it's obviously a comedy musical, which is great. So
It is.
I don't know. Maybe you correct me here. I don't believe you've ever done stand-up comedy, but I know you're a very funny guy and you love your comedy songs, and you're influenced, I would imagine, by people like Victoria Wood and various people. So, comedy-wise, who were the inspirations when you were growing up? The people that made you laugh, that made you feel, it seems we're doing a happy chat, made you feel happy. Who were they?
To be honest, I fall in love with any comedian instantly. One of the first memories I have of you was of me falling backwards off a stool, laughing at your stuff. You know full well how much I loved your comedy when we went on stage, and just introducing you was a pleasure. But there are only, I would say, a handful of comedians I can watch again and again and again because the material has so much depth and quality to it. So certainly in terms of ships, you can name about 5 or 6 of people who I will always watch. Others I will take on and then just leave and come back after 45 minutes to bring them off again. I could not tear myself away from. I adored the comedy. It was brilliant. Now, I know a lot of your fellow happy talkers have had people like Dave Allen as an influence. That's true. But from my side, it was the musical side. So we had people like Tom Lehrer, as you said, Victoria Wood.
Tom Lehrer, yeah.
And to a certain extent, people like Russ Abbott, who had comedy songs linked into their show. And Kenny Everett, madcap people like that. So there's a lot of influences from my early childhood like that. Very strange. But I knew the moment I saw Victoria Wood sing "Let's Do It" on TV, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Victoria Wood's comedy songs have this element of a part of you can recognise within that. There's a song called "Northerners" where she sings "Tripe clog, go into the bog," and she puts together these fantastic rhymes of archaic Yorkshire tropes, and she's superb, absolutely superb at that. So things like the "Let's Do It" song, which I think most of the audience will be familiar with, the ballad of Frida and Barry. Every single line has this wonderfully observed meter to it. It's brilliant, very good.
Frida and Barry sat all day, hoping the virus would go away. She'd been confined since his last cough. They'd finished all their jigsaws off. She licked her lips and gave a smile. She pressed live pause on Country File. Barry cringed in fear and dread as Frida grabbed his tie and said, "Let's do it, do it while the mood is right. I'm feeling appealing, I've really got an appetite. I'm on fire with desire, I could handle half the tenors in a male voice choir. Let's do it tonight." But he said, can't do it, I can't do it, I don't believe in too much sex. This fashion for passion turns us into nervous wrecks. No derision, my decision, I'd rather watch Repair Shop on the television. I can't do it, I can't do it tonight. So she said, let's do it till our hearts go boom. Go native, creative, living in the living room. This folly is jolly, bend me over backwards on me hostess trolley. Let's do it tonight.
I don't think we'll ever see the likes of Victoria Wood again. And I was speaking to Pauline Daniels last week, and she was a big fan of Victoria Wood.
A very good friend.
Yeah, lovely Pauline Daniels, who came through in the harsh world of men's stand-up comedy. And Victoria Wood came through at a slightly different angle because of the musicality of it, but she was fighting the prejudices of the day to break through. I think she got her break in That's Life. To me, I always thought, if That's Life was around now, you'd be the man. You'd be the one in there every week.
One of the things I can do is, as you say, I can blag and I can write a song to order. That's why Victoria got the That's Life gig. I think she was on New Faces first, and that picked her up from there because they knew she was writing material about the week, and therefore she could observe the week, write a song, and put it out, all within a short space of time. And I'm very fortunate to have that skill set. I count myself incredibly lucky to have that, but yes, I do. So I don't think it is that we won't see someone like Victoria again. Victoria was unique, and no, I don't want to see someone like Victoria Wood again, because that would be like Victoria Wood. What I want to see is I'd love to see more female comics, people like Sarah Millican and Shappi Kassandi. They've done some great work in pushing the boundaries of exactly where comedy should be going at the moment. And looking back to Victoria Wood perhaps isn't the right thing to do. If we're looking for a new Victoria Wood, forget it. Let's look elsewhere and see, because Victoria Wood wasn't like anyone else. She had a stylistic trope of people like Les Dawson and Eric Morecambe in her comedy too.
Ken Dodd.
And these are fantastic figures. But again, we're not. And Ken Dodd. We're never going to see another Les Dawson. We're never going to see another Doddy. We're not going to see them. That isn't something we should worry about or be fazed by, because YouTube is superb. We've got all these records of these fantastic comics, you know, yourself included. Your stuff's up there too. So it's a very progressive time.
So we're a bit scattergun here with it, with talking about the musicals and your writing, and you said, luckily I've got the skill sets to do it. You don't just luckily have the skill sets. Where did you learn all this stuff? I mean, did your parents give you piano lessons? Obviously, it was instinctive to you, and when you were little, you obviously loved and craved and wanted to do this. But did you go through, did you go to college, music college? Did you have lessons? How did you sort of learn or get all these skills?
Yeah, but it is luck, Andy. It's luck that's put every skill on top of the other skill. The thing is, I can do an awful lot of things at a moderate level. I don't excel at anything, nothing. What I do is I have a skill set.
So you excel?
No, I don't. I excel at putting it all together. That's all I do. But if you're really quite mediocre at everything, they call you versatile, and that's what I am. I'm mediocre at everything, but they call me versatile. But the fact is, I can do an awful lot. I've got a big skill set, and that's what you need, especially these days, in order to adapt to different circumstances, to different situations. If I tried to make a career in comedy, then, and you know this as well, because if you have that love and devotion for comedy, then you find that all your other skills build into that too. You do video editing, you write your own stuff, you're constantly writing. So you've got this massive skill set too. And the fact is, you build your own tower and you hone it wherever you can. And so I think, especially these days, if you are dedicated to the entertainment industry, then you have to have that broad skill set and be able to make yourself into something huge. Imagine someone like Peter Kay. Peter Kay's got a fantastic skill set. He's not just a comedian. He's also a superb comedy actor. He's a superb comedy writer. And you'll know about this too. You wake up with material popping around your head. Careful, you lose it. So what I tend to do is, as a middle-aged man now, I wake up at sort of 4 or 5 in the morning for specific reasons, and then I have to get to the computer and write it down. Otherwise, it's lost forever. So I spend a lot of early mornings writing material. And this one morning, I came up with the idea that no one has set a play in an escape room yet. And I looked online and somebody had. It was a thriller, and it involved a murderer being trapped in an escape room with other people. That seemed less interesting to me. So what I thought is, well, the thing about sitcoms is that they work because people are trapped in a situation. They can't leave. If you look at things like Steptoe and Son and Fawlty Towers, classic comedy, and Porridge is a great example of people forced together and can't leave. And I looked at the new kind of recent phenomenon of escape rooms, and I thought, well, that's exactly what they can do. They can put people together, and they can't leave. So I thought, well, there's comedic possibilities there and potential for something. So yeah, I used the escape room as a sort of tool to keep everything in check. But the problem I have with that, my room where I'm writing this play at the moment is like a serial killer's basement, because I have post-it notes and strings and wires and sheets of paper and subplots everywhere all over the wall. And it looks, I look insane. But you have to have all that, because these people, as I say, can't leave the stage. So they have to be there all the time. And it takes different dramatic devices to drop them in at various places. And to create comedy within that is even harder. So it's challenging, but I'm really, really enjoying writing it.
So
I love things like that.
Is that one room that they're all in? So there's nowhere for 2 people to go and talk about the other one because they're in the same room. That's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's certainly a challenge. I'll give you that. I thought about all this before I started writing it. I thought, well, is it possible? The thing is, I adore cryptic crosswords and I love puzzles. And I think that sort of inquisitive mind helps you sort of come up with things like this as well. I'm having to take ideas, really quite radical ideas, from every single influence I've ever had, to try and get more comedy into it. It's certainly interesting. I started it 6 months ago, and I've been off and on. I've been doing other projects as well. No, it's not finished yet, but it will be, soon.
Get it finished, because I feel when theatres open, people will bite your hand off for that because there's no set changes.
Exactly, nothing, absolutely nothing. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, and again, people have expressed an interest in doing it. So hopefully, yes, it'll be another thing that rolls once things start going. And imagine, Andy, this is like a coiled spring at the moment. The entire entertainment industry is keeping everything back. Movies, theatre,
it's going to go crazy, isn't it?
It's going to be absolutely ballistic. And seriously, from this summer, this could be the best year in the world for entertainment, after having possibly the worst ever, last year. So well, I'm always hopeful, you know me.
I'm the only comedian I know that's kept working through this. And I've done it all online. But there's a lot of performers that I don't say fallen by the wayside, but obviously people have to live and taking jobs. And Michelle and I were talking about this the other night, that the people that did something because they could do it and earn a good living from it, but it's not inside their bones like it is with us, they might be lost. They might not come.
Well, it sounds snobby, but it's about that skill set, Andy. It's about being diverse. I mean, you mentioned performers. No, performers can't have survived over the last 12 months. That's just not possible. So no. you have to have more in that skill set. And the nice thing is that a lot of performers I know have developed a different skill set as part of that retraction from an audience. So they've started writing and they've started doing other things and going online and trying to find different ways. A lot of them have fallen by the wayside, because they found that their skill set didn't, but they will come back. And I'm really hopeful. really hopeful about it.
Yeah,
because the appetite for entertainment, not just amongst those who do the entertainment, but for those who watch it, is huge at the moment. The amount of people that just want to get into a theatre and watch a show is extraordinary. So,
well, however we do it when the procedure starts, and I don't think it'll be floodgates there. Everyone get back in the theatre. No. It might be done in stages, but I've got to tell everyone out there, and this is me going on about the panto at Christmas again, but even
quite right,
people spread out in the audience with masks on, it's still theatre, guys. It still feels absolutely wonderful to have a reaction to what you present. It's just great. And eventually, I think sooner rather than later, it'll probably start off slowly like that and then build. I reckon, I'm hopeful that this Christmas time, I'll be doing pantomime to...
There's no question you will be, Andy. Absolutely. I mean, I'm hugely positive we're going to be in that situation. But the other thing to remember is that, I mean, I've been doing a similar thing to you, but we did it. We performed comedy in our local theatre to 25% capacity audiences.
Did you?
That didn't quite work. Well, it worked to a certain extent, but it wasn't as successful as having a huge audience. I've been in your shows, and I know what it's like to feel an audience, you know, laugh from its boots, right down there, right up, you know, and that's something you can't replicate with a 25% capacity crowd. But I think we're going to be beyond that very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the baby steps will be that small. I think it'll be, is this going to work? Do we need to still keep checking people for a while? Okay, are people responsible enough? Gradually, I have to say, not blowing our own trumpet, or should I? We seem to be, and you're always worried to say this, we seem to be, whether it's a stiff upper lip or whatever it is, we're just cracking on with it. And for, you know, obviously mistakes were made. I mean, we've never been in this situation before. But the country feels very optimistic at the moment.
It does. It does.
I mean, I went to have my jab the other day, and we were all waiting until 5 minutes before our appointment to get out the cars. And when we all did it, there ain't a choice. You do it for other people as much as yourself. Assuming things go the way we're looking, and it's getting more positive, we were talking about theatre and stuff. Now, I still feel that it's going to be a slightly longer haul for the cruise industry. What do you feel?
Yeah. Again, the cruise industry has been hammered by this. The problem is that the press was appalling at the beginning. It was, if you remember, Trump put a stop to a cruise line landing in America because he didn't want the numbers to increase, and they had coronavirus. Do you remember? This is right back at the beginning of the pandemic. You can't. And unfortunately, the cruise industry has always had disease around it. Yeah, I mean, you and I don't know if you were on with us. We've had norovirus outbreaks and things like that on cruise ships.
That, Rich.
Yeah, that's right. We did. And again, well, we get through it, and it's the same with this. The problem with the cruise industry is that the press was so bad that it seems to have affected their trading ability, but also their market is in the older end of society, and they're the ones that have been most affected and most traumatized by the virus. So,
can I say something controversial there? Because
of course you can.
Older American clientele with money, and those tend to be, without generalizing, slightly more Republican.
They do.
Against vaccines, etc. So, I mean, I think there might be a desire to get back out there without taking precautions, and it only needs a couple more hiccups, and it delays it another couple of years from coming back. And there's a lot of entertainers who rely completely on the cruise industry for their life. I never tied myself to that, because some cruises, they love me, some they hate me, but I never wanted to tie myself, because it's like you said earlier, when you're away, people in this country don't know you exist anymore, and for television, theatre and all that. So that's why I never sold my soul to cruises. Number one, I don't think it's really my bag. But number two, you've got to be you've got to be here for people to see your stuff, haven't you?
You do. I mean, you can do an awful lot with social media, as we've found, but actually putting yourself into theatres and giving yourself a profile that way is the best way for comedians to work, because they have an audience there, and you're part of the audience there. There's a reason why our top comedians, and tours sell out. It's because it's a brilliant night. Comedy is a universal language. I love the way people laugh. You know, I love to laugh, but I love to hear people laugh as well. And being part of a crowd that's really lapping up what a comedian is doing, it's an absolute joy.
Well, that was one of the things that made me sort of stop doing the cruises so much, was that when I played in Panto, I'd get a fan base, and then I'd invite that fan base to come and see me do stand-up in the locale. And that really worked for me, because people enjoy a show and laugh a lot more when they paid to be there. So,
that's right.
You know, there's a world of difference of being, there's a comedian on tonight. Let's see what as opposed to, I got tickets for Andy Ford. You know, that's a world of difference.
Exactly.
But here's the man, Mr. Richard Sykes, who, what impressed me about you more than anything is I don't really think, in all the times I've seen you, I don't think I've ever seen you not win. Is that the bloody mindedness of a Yorkshire person?
Yes.
His versatility. I'll find something that bloody works. I'll make sure I'll get you.
This is the point about being a cruise entertainer, is that, as you said, people haven't paid to see you. If you're a comedian on a cruise ship, they haven't stumped up the cash to see Andy Ford on a cruise liner. That's not what they've done. You're on that night, therefore they'll come and watch you, because, to be fair, there isn't much else on. So it's you or nothing. That doesn't generate the sort of room you often need for comedy. Sometimes it does, because people are together on a cruise ship, therefore you have something to unify. But sometimes it doesn't work. As you say, I won a lot more times than I lost, because my comedy is more general, and I think you can get away with an awful lot when passengers perceive you to be on their side. Therefore, they'll go with it. So you're right. One thing I didn't do is win people over universally, though. I'm going to swear. You can beep it out if you like, the audience, but I have to, because I'm quoting a passenger.
Right.
It was my first ever comment on a questionnaire form. When you go on cruises, you get questionnaires at the end, and then passengers have to put comments in and send it in. And these comments are usually published, not on the ship. So whatever hurtful or damaging comment you put, it immediately gets straight back to the people you're writing it.
I've got the scars, mate.
I know. I've got the scores, mate. and my first ever comment that was put on, I'd just done a decent week's entertainment with good game shows. We've got good scores. And the first comment was, Richard Sykes is a wanker. Okay, right. Well, there's nothing much you can do about that. You have to be something to everyone, even if you're not everything to everyone. And I would always say to entertainers who were coming up and being part of the cruise director ranks and going through the animation system and hosting game shows and things, if you haven't upset 5% or 5% of your passengers, then you probably haven't done your job correctly, because you cannot be everything to everyone. If you haven't been sharp enough, if you haven't had an interaction that can put some people off, because some people are miserable. And I would say that if you're pleasing miserable people, then you're doing something wrong. And so you have to accept at some point that, well, it's true. So Yeah, but if you're constantly aiming at that lowest common denominator, then you have an issue in that you're not catering for the vast majority, the silent majority of people who want a bit of edge, who want a bit of give and take.
Well, you end up being a sellout, don't you? And there's nowhere for a sellout to go. I mean, you can collect the checks forever, but I mean, there's be a massive hole in your soul. Now, question to you. So, you talk about your versatility and your skill sets. You're a fine musician, singer, songwriter, writer, blah, blah, blah. So, where does graphic designer fit in?
It's another one of those little skills, you see, and
the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, I decided the graphic design came first. I was a graphic designer before I was a cruise director, so I used to make football programs. Oh yes, those were the days. But yeah, again, it's another
elucidate football programs.
Yeah, you know the match day programs that you used to get. I think you probably still get them. Yeah, I used to make those. And I've learned to hate a lot of football managers because we used to make them for some rather big clubs. And I'm going to name and shame now. Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce was the manager of Huddersfield Town for a little while.
Yeah.
And his copy was always late. You know, those managers' notes that used to go. So I used to be sat there on a Friday night waiting to print and just waiting for this stuff to come in. And it used to be so late. All the time. So name and shame, Steve Bruce. How dare you?
And were you carrying away your ambition for music and comedy in your breast at the time you were doing that?
No, it was a conscious decision. I was determined when I left school that I did not, and left university, that I did not want to do music for money. It felt like you mentioned selling out. It felt like I would be selling out if I did that. So I thought, no, I'm absolutely never going to get paid for music. I'm just going to do it because I love it. And so I used to do a lot of amateur operatics. I wrote my own shows and did that kind of thing. But I was determined I would never sell them. And then I got the panto, and I discovered that I could really, really love something and get paid for it. Now that. To be able to say that is a joy, because a lot of people don't ever experience that. They pick up the check at the end of the week and then they take it away and do what they like with it. No, that wasn't the check was not the reason for me doing the majority of the stuff in my career. The money just happened, which was lovely. It's the way I wish everyone could live. And you mentioned that you don't think I'm lucky. I am the luckiest person in the world. If you think about it, I've been paid to do what I love to an audience that can't leave and go all the way around the world on it. I mean, that's sensational.
You put your hand up. Luck doesn't put your hand up. You put your hand up. And you follow through with it and made it happen. Well, when you did my variety shows, which I was very grateful for, you sent me a fantastic video from the Book of Mormon, wasn't it?
Yeah. I adore the Book of Mormon. I think it's a great show. But the way it sets itself up is there's an opening number, and it's called Hello. And it's where all the Mormons start appearing at different doors, and they get various reactions. I love this song.
Hello, my name is Elder Price, and I would like to share with you the most amazing book. Hello, my name is Elder Grant. It's a book about America a long, long time ago. It has so many awesome parts. You simply won't believe how much this book will change your life. Hello, my name is Elder Green, and I would like to share with you this book of Jesus Christ. Hello, my name is Elder Young. Hello. Did you know that Jesus lived here in the USA? You can read all about it now. Hello. In this nifty book, it's free. No, you don't have to pay. Hello. Hello. My name is Elder Smith, and can I leave this book with you for you to just peruse? Hello. 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 I'll just leave it here. It has a lot of information you can really use. Hello.
Hi.
My name is
Jesus Christ.
You have a lovely home.
Hello.
It's an amazing book. Bonjour.
Hola.
Ni hao. Me llamo Elder White.
Are these your
This
kids?
book gives you the secret of eternal life.
Sound good?
Eternal life with Jesus Christ.
It's super fun.
Hello.
Ding dong.
And if you let us in, we'll show you how it can be done.
No thanks.
You sure?
Well,
that's fine.
Goodbye.
Have fun in hell.
Hey now.
You simply won't believe how much this book will change your life. Will change your life. This book will change. This book will change your life.
Hello. Would you like to change religions? I have a free book written by Jesus.
No, Elder Cunningham, that's not how we do it. You're making things up again. Just stick to the approved dialogue. Elder, show him.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is
Elder Cunningham.
and we would like to share with you this book of Jesus Christ.
Hello.
Ding dong.
Hi-ho.
Just take this book.
It's free for you.
From me.
You see?
You simply won't believe how much this book will change your life. Hello. This book will change your life. So you won't burn it. Hello, this book will change your life. This book will change your life. The Book of Mormon. Hello.
I think that is hilarious. I know you didn't write it, but you delivered
I didn't.
what you did. So how many times have you seen that musical?
4 or 5, and that, again, the audience reaction to it has been mixed. It's always been a riot in my little group of people that I was with, but I tried to give it a standing ovation in London, and I was immediately tutted by someone behind me who was an American who'd utterly disapproved of the show. And while I was screaming and, laughing in the house, this guy had apparently just been sat there like this all the way through.
He didn't know what he paid to go and see.
No, he'd sat there through Hasadiga Ibawai. And honestly, he thought it was I spoke to him after. I said, I'm sorry, I had to give it a standing ovation. It's the best show I've seen. And he said, I think it's the most disgusting piece of entertainment I've ever seen. He's one of my 5%.
Yeah,
Strange.
There's nothing you can really do about that,
Nothing. Nor should you ever try.
No.
Because imagine if the Book of Mormon had tried to regulate itself down to that level.
Then there's no product. Shell and I were sitting in the Grand Theatre in Blackpool one night.
Very nice theatre.
And we were watching, I think it was called Talent or Star. So anyway, it was a Victoria Wood thing about a talent contest, I believe.
Yeah, it's called Talent. Yeah.
Talent. It was hilarious. And
superb.
Played Patricia Outledge's part. There was a little bit of Kitty as well. Anyway, I'm crying. It's hilarious. And I'm getting what you got in front of me. You have to laugh.
I know.
But they were Kitty. They were Kitty.
Exactly. Exactly.
6 or 7 of them who didn't get it at all. And
a lot of it will have hit home.
I was laughing at because they were being portrayed on the stage. And every time they tutted was exactly like Kitty tutted.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious.
It always makes it funnier for me. I think it's a wonderful thing to experience.
What will make you happy in 6 months from now when we chat? Either you come round my house or we come round and see you, whatever, when we're chatting. What are you going to be doing? What
I'd like is that my musical would be as close to prepared for being performed as possible. It would have been workshopped and worked through by a producer, a director, and a choreographer, and a team of actors. And I'll have actually seen something close to the end product. That's where I'd like it to be in 6 months. Which is likely. We'd planned all this for January, but sadly things got pushed back and back. I'd also like the play Escape to be finished, and I think it will be. And the next thing after that is I'm going to leave that as a secret, because I think you'll really enjoy the next one, and I don't want to blow it.
All right. Well, you might tell me when we finish recording.
I will. Of course, I will tell you when I finish.
Right. Just before we go then on this, thank you for all your input. I mean, I find you fascinating. I mean, the fact that, you know, you've gone down the single route and you're happy to be. I've never known anyone so happy to be single as you've always seemed to me, because you've had no ties to stop you doing anything with your life. So I'm assuming everything you've done, you wanted to do. And we made so many friends on the cruise ship. That was the upside. Even if you had a tough week or whatever, you made so many friends.
You did.
You're still in contact with most of them, aren't you?
I have a network around the world. So if ever I go to a country, then there'll always be someone that I know in that country, and I will always pop in, say hello, have a cuppa, and things like that. It's the advantage of liking people, and you like people, I like people. A lot of comics don't like people. You know, they're quite happy for them to stand and laugh, and but a lot of comics really don't. I'm very, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I'm so lucky to have been given, you know, the ability to like people, the ability to write and perform, and the chance to do it. I mean, that's I'm the luckiest person in the world, Andy.
Well,
believe it or not.
There isn't a better way to finish a conversation than that. Thank you so much for joining me from your garden in the Costa del Huddersfield. It looks so beautiful. Our country.
Oh, you can smell the chip vat.
Yeah, I just hope you know, things open up. I think it'll be a bit slower going abroad. That people make the most of this wonderful country that we've got. That's what
Bring it to Britain. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Richard Sykes, thank you for joining me on Happy Chat. You are a brilliant guy, a lovely person, and a great talent. And I'll speak to you very soon, I expect. Cheers, mate.
See you, babe. Bye.